Let's jump into scene number 2.
Hi, Dr. Jacobs. This is Chris Marlin over at JT Marlin.
Marlin?
Right, he's my father.
He's my mother.
So my associate tells me you're interested in one of our stocks.
Your wife's on break.
I will call her back. Yes, MSC sounds like it might be interesting.
Might be. Might be doesn't sell stock at the rate MSC is going for, Dr. Jacobs. We're talking very high volume here.
Oh, well, I still have to run it by my people.
That's great, Doc, if you want to miss yet another opportunity here and watch your colleagues get rich doing clinical trials. And don't buy a share and hang up the phone.
Well, hold on a second now. I didn't say that. I just want to talk about it some more.
Honestly, Doc, I don't have the time. This stock is blowing up right now. The whole firm's going nuts. Hold on, let me open up the door to my office. See that, Doc? That's my trading floor. Now I have 1 million calls to make to 1 million other doctors who are already in the know. I can't walk you through this right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's do this.
Now, since you're a new account, I cannot go any higher than 2,000 shares. I'm sorry.
2,000?
Are you nuts? That is way beyond what I was thinking.
Thinking 2,000?
Jesus. Listen, I'm curious. Why can't you
Tell me any more than that.
Well, we like to establish a relationship with our clients on something small before we get to the more serious trades. Let me show you several percentage points on this small trade, and then we'll talk about doing future business.
That sounds good. Give me the 2,000 shares.
Done.
You sure you can't do any better on this one?
I'm sorry, Dr. Jacobs. I can. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right, we'll start with this trade then.
Great. I promise we'll swing for the fences on the next one. Do you want that confirmation sent to your office or your mansion?
Very funny, Mr. Marlin.
Let me put my secretary on, and she'll take down your info. It was a pleasure doing business with you. Done and done.
TJ Shaheen, here we go. Scene number 2, Giovanni Ribisi, who's basically setting the table, hammering out cold calls, gets a Dr. Jacobs, as it turns out, on the phone, gets this guy interested. There's a clinical trial of something going on. And because he's a junior broker, he sets the table, gets him interested. He has to make that handoff to a senior broker, which is Vin Diesel. That's when this clip begins here. What's your takeaway?
Well, again, I go back to the days where I used to get these calls, right? And you want to get these guys off the line, right? And nowadays we're getting these robocalls about credit card debt. We're getting calls about change your insurance rates, or maybe some voicemail in Mandarin Chinese or something that doesn't make any sense with this nice little music going around. So why in the world somebody would pick up a call like this in the first place? I don't know. But now he's got him on the line, and now he doesn't want to go. So that to me was like, what's going on here? So it kind of plays out into Vin Diesel's hand, obviously, because now he knows he's got a fish on,
right? And
he's just reeling him in. But the doctor, he's like, well, but yeah, maybe I will. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we talked about yesterday in our sales trainings that people will buy faster when they feel safe and they feel in control. And you can see the doctor going back and forth, and he's pushing back, saying, whoa, I'm not ready for this, looking for more information. And then all of a sudden he's like, forget the information. Now I'm in. And then he's like, whoa, 2,000 shares. But there's a few things that Vin Diesel does here. He brings in scarcity of his own time. I got 1 million calls to make. Are you in or are you out? There's other people. This is going to go fast. He also talks about, right, he compresses the time. He's like, listen, I need to know right now. The other thing, he leverages silence very well, right? Mm-hmm. He asks a question and he just shuts his mouth. And even in that scene, the silence is probably like 2 or 3 seconds, but you can feel it, right? Yeah. And I think too often sales professionals, they don't let silence do the heavy lifting that it can do. And if you just shut your mouth after you ask a question, especially if a closing question, right, proved value, we've talked about this numerous times. Are you ready to buy right now? Are you ready to sign? And just let that sit, right? Yep. Humans struggle with that. And too often we try to fill that void.
Well, I just felt it right now because I thought you were just going to be like, I'm looking for something to say, but I just saw what you were doing. So you had me hooked. It worked. But yeah, no, for sure. I really feel that people do talk way too much. They don't listen enough. And, for that person to be asking the question, just stop. Now it's your turn to listen.
Correct.
And oh, by the way, there's a doctor also reviewing patient x-rays on the other end of the line. He's deciding whether he's going to buy 2,000 shares or not. How'd you like to be that guy's patient, right? So we think you may have broken your bones, but I got to take this trade right now.
Right. They also does a good job with this idea of an anchor, right? And in behavioral economics, they talk about this is a really fundamental principle, which is where we start. And I'm thinking more of a negotiation, where we start in the negotiation. And if I say, hey, TJ, I want you to come on the podcast. What do you think? You're like, I'm busy. I don't know if I can do it. How much time do you need? I'm like, dude, we're probably going to need like 3 hours. 3 hours, right? I have put this anchor way up here.
Right.
Now, we're not going to end up there. We're going to come down, right? Would I love to have 3 hours of your time? I would. But right? And then we come down. So he sets that anchor at 2,000. He goes, whoa. He was thinking, I don't know, 50 or 100 shares. You put it real high. Even if he backs down and says, I can't do that. Let's cut it in half. I'll do 1,000. That is probably 10 times more than he was anticipating buying. So this concept of anchoring, I think, is so critical. And how often do you see this come up in negotiating your business? Because I often feel that sales professionals negotiate more with their own sales managers and leaders
right.
than they do with the customers.
We talk a lot about it, but just dumb it down. You can talk about just an entry door, and you can't get enough for that. So I always tell, and I've always practiced and preached to my sales team, is that you can't get enough for it. Charge the max. We can always step it down a little bit, but
right.
Figure if you're measuring the door once, then you got to review the finishes, the swings. You take it out, they got to put it back in. They got to button it up all around it, and you probably spend 5 hours on sitting down negotiating stuff with the door when it takes you 5 minutes to maybe do a lumber order. Let's put it in that perspective.
Right.
But you have to earn your time. And your time's valuable. So when it comes to something like that, you don't sell yourself short. Always reach for that anchor and put it out there, because you can step it back a little bit, but your time is money and you can't make enough of it to do it. And I think so many people are so quick just to throw it away.
Yeah.
And it's just doesn't make any sense, because you're just throwing so you're nothing. Your time is no value. No, be confident. Show your value and put it out there and earn it.
Yeah. Yesterday at our sales training, we did exercise we call determine your hourly rate. Because too often salespeople say, hourly rate, I don't have one. Sky's the limit. No one can stop me. And you're like, actually, false. There's only a certain number of hours in a day and a week that you can work. And you have a goal of what you want to make at the end of the year. So you want to make 200 grand? Great. Let's figure it out. Let's divide it by 12, right? Monthly, then let's break it by 4 into weekly, and you break it down to an hourly rate. And these guys will often say, oh, I guess my hourly rate it's like $93. And you're like, actually, it doesn't even account for opportunity cost. So double it. You're like, oh, okay. But I think unless you do that and you're constantly keeping this in front of your mind, you're going to forget that your time is valuable. You know this, yet in practice, you give it away all the time. And I think we often see that in margins that aren't nearly as high as they should be, especially on, your special order custom front door and all that sort of stuff.
And people get stuck in a rut, and it's just automatic. It's just, this is what it's going to be. And they just send it in and they just get used to it because they're in that comfort zone.
Yep.
But when right now you're shooting fish in a barrel, you have a market that's hot,
yep.
And you're not taking advantage of it, that's on you. And and you can try to lead salespeople all along, but at the end of the day, if you're your own business as a sales rep, you have to be searching for these opportunities, taking advantage of it. Don't get stuck in a rut, and realize that you're valuable. You're valuable to your customer, especially your repeat business out there, and you deserve that. And don't throw it away. It's a sin.
Yep.